It's all about knowing what you want to achieve and do the right thing that you need to do. I don't consider design holy. It's like any other thing that you do in life. And to do it effectively, you need to know it well. Don't necessarily need to know design well. You just need to know your domain well so that you can use your expertise in design to solve the problems or do the stuff that you are expected to do. If you're designing for someone or a humanity, a set of people, involve them in the design process because nobody knows about the challenges.
They know themselves better.
Yes.
Definitely, design has to serve that purpose. Business should make money, but at same point of time, the proposition can be even more bigger. So I think that can be a larger perspective of humanity.
So what if one day your smartphones were to disappear and nothing else replacing it? You don't want that situation, right? And that's exactly the reason we want smartphones available in a way that it can remain. Because if this starts adversely affecting something else, this cannot survive in the long run. And if it doesn't survive, we let go of such a wonderful invention which is of so much value to us, right? Let us think of that way. And if you don't want to think about earth and environment, think about your own self.
Yeah.
Don't you want this all your life or something better?
आज हर तरफ डिजाइन सिर्फ एस्थेटिक्स का नाम बन गया है, लेकिन किसी से पूछो क्यों बनाया तो शायद जवाब खामोशी हो। ये पॉडकास्ट उन्हीं सवालों का कोना है जहां डिजाइन को सिर्फ देखने के लिए नहीं, समझने के लिए रखा जाता है। डिजाइन के नाम पे हर जगह फालतू आवाज है। सोचने वाला कोई नहीं, सिर्फ ट्रेंड के पीछे दौड़। ये चिल नहीं है, ये कैजुअल भी नहीं है, और ये डेफिनेटली आपका यूजुअल डिजाइन ज्ञान नहीं है। वेलकम टू डिजाइन एंड डिस्कशन।
So today we have Saptarshi with us, and I'm chasing you from long time to have this podcast. So thank you so much for joining Design Ki Baatein, which is an initiative from Sandskriti. And from Sandskriti, we are welcoming you in this Ahmedabad city. And thank you for joining with us, sir.
Thanks a lot, Pramod. The pleasure is entirely mine. Yes, we have been planning this for quite some time. I'm glad that it's finally happening.
Yeah. So I think we'll take this very organic. So we'll be, just flow with conversation. And we'll try to learn more from you from the perspective like who really, you are as a, what do you call it, individual person, as a Saptarshi, like you is inner Saptarshi, right? We want to know more from that perspective. We know you are AVP of Swiggy and you have a lot of responsibility to play there. You are also a social media influencer where you are giving a lot of knowledge to the people and the people who really want to get into design. So you are hero in that space. We know that.
As much hero as anyone can get.
Yeah, and but who are you?
Well, never thought about it. Whenever someone asks me to introduce myself, it's usually my profession is what they want to know. I think that's the capitalistic society we live in, and I don't blame anyone for it. But yeah, that led me to thinking that I never really thought about who I am as an individual. But now that you ask, I feel I would call myself a very creative. No, I think I would call myself a very curious person. That's the right word to use. I've often seen myself trying to understand or know about things which are completely away from what I do on a daily basis, right? It's not that I'm interested about a certain topic. It's just that I'm curious about how things are happening. I may still want to have some understanding of what that is. Just like, the conversation around spirituality we just had, right?
Yeah.
I would call myself, I'm far away from that, but I'm still curious. I'm curious about other people, what they do, how they lead their lives, what they eat and everything, right? So yes, I think I'm a curious person. That helps me in my work. That helps me in whatever I do. Even if I look at how I was as a kid, I was always curious. Trying to open up anything, trying to break open anything to see what lies inside. My mother still tells me fondly that, of course, both my parents were working. When she would come back from office, one of the first things I would do is open her bag up and see each and everything, right? Not trying to look for some gift that she might have bought me, while coming back. No, not really that. Generally, maybe a new pen or a rubber band or anything. I would be very curious to know what is inside. And same, later when my dad comes back from office, I would do the same. I have that mentality even now. Of course, I don't open into people's bags. It would be very creepy, but I do open into different conversations, try to go deeper into what is happening in some other part of the world. What are people building? What are people thinking? What are people talking? What are some of the new things that are available in the world? So, yeah, curious. Curious being is what I would say.
Yeah. And if you're curious, basically you're able to explore the world better. Because then you find something always.
I think you can explore the world without necessarily inherently being curious like the way I am, but it gets much easier because it's natural for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to put an effort
Extra energy.
while explore. Yes.
Sometimes people have to put so much of extra energy to explore. Now you have by default with you.
I hope so. I hope it remains like that.
Yeah. That's nice. That's nice. So, you have done your journey in design space for since very long time now, and there is a maturity level of designers also in industry. Like there are designers who have just started their journey. There are designers they are actually still exploring design space. There are some designers they are expert in one space, but they want to jump into the another space. There are a lot of things there in the design space, and every individual are having a different stages of design, and you are in a good stage of design right now. So in this particular stage, what is your mindset of design?
See, my mindset is I'm goal focused, I would say. I know I have my work cut out, what I need to do, what we want to achieve with my expertise. I just focus on that. If you ask about how I might have evolved in the past, there was a time I thought, design is holy. Holy as in, there is a certain way of doing it. There are rules, there are regulations. I need to know what those rules are for me to effectively do design, right? But the more I spent time with design, the more I spent working in the industry, I realized that there are no holy cows like that cannot be slaughtered. There are no rules such, right? It's all about knowing what you want to achieve and do the right thing that you need to do. That's about it. So that's the mindset shift that has happened to me. I don't consider design holy. It's like any other thing that you do in life. And to do it effectively, you need to know it well. That's about it. You don't necessarily need to know design well. You just need to know your domain well so that you can use your expertise in design to solve the problems or do the stuff that you are expected to do.
Yeah, that's correct. So from a humanity perspective, I believe, another perspective of it, like today we are using a lot of, different objects. Sometimes we buy things which is not even of our use, but we just want to buy it, we just buy that. Yeah, that's a good, anyway, that's okay. But the way we are moving ahead in our life, actually we are also affecting our nature, our environment and things like that. So humanity also touch upon those subjects where, when we are designing something, we have to keep nature in place. We have to understand what is the global impact of those technology when we implement into the real world, not only making money for the business.
Right.
Definitely design has to serve that purpose. Business would make money, but at the same point of time, the proposition can be even more bigger. So I think that can be a larger perspective of humanity point of view. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, sustainable, something being sustainable is very important. And when I say sustainable, I don't necessarily mean, say, earth and environment. Of course, that's there. But let's look at things which are integral part of our lives now. Maybe the smartphone, right? We have tons of information in this. We cannot live without it. So can you imagine living a day without your smartphone? For most people, it's very difficult, right? So what if one day your smartphones were to disappear and nothing else replacing it? You don't want that situation, right? And that's exactly the reason we want smartphones available in a way that it can remain. Because if this starts adversely affecting something else, this cannot survive in the long run. And if it doesn't survive, we let go of such a wonderful invention which is of so much value to us, right? Let us think of that way. And if you don't want to think about earth and environment, think about your own self.
Yeah.
Don't you want this all your life or something better? If yes, let us figure out a better way to make sure that this continues.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Right now, a lot of people, they look design industry as a creative. Definitely definitely needs that kind of creativity. But at the same point of time, it's an industry.
Yeah.
So we sometimes forget that it's industry. So definitely we have to learn more from the industry so that we can apply in our professional life to scale.
See, honestly, I feel creativity is an overhyped word.
Yeah, I think
right.
so.
And we as designers, We have been made to believe that we are the creative folks. We are the creative folks. That's not really true. Everyone needs to be creative in their respective fields to do some or the other job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People often ask me, tell me an instance when you were creative. Right? Trust me, the best creativity which I feel I've used was, one day there were 4 guests who were supposed to come to my home. Right? And we had 3 laddus at home. Right? And they were right there. You can't offer 3 laddus to 4 guests. What we did was we cut them into half and then we put 6 pieces on a plate and gave it to them. Yeah, people ate. There was one for everyone. And if someone wanted to eat 2, they ate. I feel that's one of the most creative things that I did out there. It has got nothing to do with design.
Yeah.
It's just common sense that I applied, right? So yeah, connecting design with creativity. Yes, creativity is needed in design as much as it's needed in any walk of life.
That's true. And to be very honest, what I believe from your conversation is just clicked. Common sense is right now not common. And that's the problem.
Yeah. We try to make anything common and ordinary as something special and uncommon, and that's where we mess up.
Okay. So design as a term is very complicated. It's a very easy term. Everyone understand design, but when it comes to industry, it's a very, very complicated term. And a lot of people are still fuzzing around like which kind of designer they can become, And there are a lot of people talk about design is not always visual. It has a lot of things to do with the processes and mechanisms, and a lot of analysis is also required from design point of view. Like UX design is one of those subject. Customer experience design is another subject. There are a lot of things inside design. So how people can decide like where to go in design space if they really want to contribute in design space?
Yeah, see, many of I think what you're hinting towards is the different names that we have in the industry, right? Honestly, most of these are just nomenclature. They are just names because people thought this is a name that I can have for people in my company, right? Like, see, I've done 3 jobs at 3 companies so far as a designer. In all 3 of them, the name of the function was different. My first job, it was called UX designer. My second job, it was called interaction designer. And my third job, which is in Swiggy right now, it's called product designer. And trust me, we did the exact same work in all these 3 companies. There's no difference in what we did, right? So yeah, it's about the mindset, I would say, and less about the name. If you ask me, I think I like the word product design, at least in 2025, now that we are recording. It's because it gives you an idea that you are not just designing a UI.
Yeah, correct.
You're not just designing an experience. Sure, you're doing these as well, but your end state is maybe, you are designing a product or you're designing a system. That's when, you don't restrict yourself to just this digital world.
Part of it, yeah.
You look into everything and you see, okay, what is that thing that is affecting my my product or my system or my, whatever I'm building, right? Like, there are some things which we as designers may have control on. There are some things which we may not, right? See, if I give the example of Swiggy again, we could do the best job at designing the flows and the experience and everything, right? But for someone to have a great product experience, everything should be right. Maybe the payment screen is perfect, but when you hit on pay now, the payment fails. What can I as a designer do out there? Maybe the APIs failed or the payment gateway is not working. But if that happens, you as a customer will still have a bad experience. Yeah. So even though I cannot do anything directly, but I can become aware of it. So I can work with the right people and make sure that this doesn't happen, or we minimize the occurrence of it.
They can be the part of the process.
They can be a part of the process, or you should at least be aware that this is affecting the experience of what you have built.
Correct.
Or even if everything goes fine, you order maybe a sambar and an idli, and when the package comes, the package is, it's torn, the sambar is spilling off. It's still a bad experience for you. So how can I at least be cautious? How can I work with the relevant people to make sure that the overall experience that I'm building, I'm stitching, is good to the best of everyone's knowledge?
Correct. Yeah, that's true. We are, at the end of the day, we are designing experiences, but it's good to call it like product design so that people can understand what.
See, you can just call yourself a designer or an app designer or whatever you want. As long as you have the mindset that it needs to work properly.
Mindset is very important.
If your mindset is there, your title doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's good. Good to know that. Nice. So, from a design perspective, I want to touch upon a very good subject, which is like humanity of design. So what do you think? Recently I speak with Don Norman, and in his talk we just discuss about designer has a capability to change the world. It is his perspective, and I also believe in the same perspective, because designer has an ability to think beyond. They can all they can make something after breaking something which is already there. So designer has a capability to break the system to make something new. That's the mindset designer normally carries. So according to him, a designer has an ability to change the whole world. If they want, they can design a better world. So in his perspective, the humanity of design, like, what do you think about that? What is the role that designer can play in order to change
Gives the word.
whole ecosystem? You can say not a world, but at least ecosystem or something like that.
Right. Yeah, when I had the privilege to speak to Don a few months back,
Yeah.
when I was in the same panel as he was, and of course, I was feeling goosebumps, right? Of course, he's like the father of UX design, is what say, and I'm sitting in the same room and discussing with him. It felt unreal, right?
Yes.
So yes, I know what you're talking about. We touched base on that the other day as well. So humanity-centric design is, I think, a term that likes to use, right? We all know what human-centric design is, which is like you designing for the user. We all do that. If you're making this for me, I'm a human, you'd probably customize it the way I want. Maybe I prefer a little more sweet than you. Maybe he prefers a little more spicy than somebody else. So you know me as a person, and then you are making it for me. Very easy task. You just need to know one individual. Right? But when you expand it, we're not talking about a human, but we're talking about a humanity.
Yeah.
Right? Then things get trickier, because it's not just one individual you're making it for a larger group of people. Of course, there would be some common elements between that brethren or that group of people, but then there are a lot of diverse things as well, because every individual at the end of the day are different, right? So that's what I believe, if I understood right, he meant about humanity-centered design, because you never design for a single individual, you design for humanity. One common example, or one obvious relatable example that I can give it to you was Google Maps. Like Google Maps, when Google navigation started, it was already successful in the US. Everyone was using it. But then when it first came to India, the adoption wasn't all that much. Of course, one of the reasons was maybe penetration of smartphone, but even people who had smartphones with internet connectivity and all, the penetration wasn't all that much. Because back then what Google did was they just copied and pasted what they did in the US, and they expected it to run.
Run in India, yeah.
Run in India or any other country, because the GPS is global, internet is global, and navigation is global. That's how they thought. But the reality was, how people perceive addresses and directions in India is way different from how people perceive it in the US.
Right.
In
There's a
US,
cultural difference.
yes, there's a cultural difference. There is an infrastructural difference, because out there, all the roads are marked perfectly. You can say head south and then take the first left on the first main street. Here, if I ask someone head south, you'll know, okay, which is south? Is this south or is that south? Because that's not how we culturally speak, right? In India, it's more about take this road, go straight. Beside the Sai Baba temple, take a left. You'll see an HDFC Bank ATM, go 200 meters from that. And right? Like it's very referencing certain things or landmarks which are present. And they also realize that a lot of people are not driving car. People are mostly on their two-wheelers. They're riding a bike or a scooter, and it's a completely different experience. That's when they realized, and they came to India. They worked with their India design team. They went around the Indian cities and town to get a clearer picture of what it is to drive a two-wheeler in Indian roads. When you're wearing a helmet, when you're riding a two-wheeler with all the noises around, you do not really get to see and hear a lot of things that you would when you're driving a car. And to add to that, the way we mark our streets and all, it is all unorganized. But they figured it out. And today, if you use Google Maps, you will see they're very much relevant for a country like India, Brazil, or Indonesia, where things are not as perfect as, say, the USA, right?
Right.
So we had a long discussion around this kind of a topic with Don. What he concluded in a very beautiful way was, if you're designing for someone or a humanity, a set of people, involve them in the design process, because nobody knows about the challenges.
They know themselves better.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to be more responsible.
You have to be more responsible, definitely.
Yeah. So if we consider this as a main subject. But when we talk about, there are a lot of services available which is more related to, quick delivery kind of services. Maybe like you can say example of Uber, but I'm not talking about Uber, I'm talking about the model.
Right.
So when we implement such kind of model, which is definitely very good because consumers are getting benefited, they can book the cab, there is a functionality and people are taking advantage of that functionality. But when we look from another perspective, the drivers are getting job. Some people does not have job, they do not have any other capability, they get the job of a driver, that's good. But what I see that most of the Uber driver are also highly educated, or not highly educated, but they are educated. So from another perspective, when I see that, why they are becoming driver, if they are educated, they can be even better than driver. So such kind of, model also paralyze us in certain degree, because a lot of good people, they can do better in their life, they are becoming a driver, you know. So what do you think about that kind of models? And when we consider humanity in this whole space, it's, I think it's mislead in that direction.
No, I get what you're saying, right? See, a lot of it is also very cultural. The reason why you said that they can do something better, why do they need to drive a car, is because, in our mind, driving a car is probably not as good as maybe designing or writing code or being a doctor or a lawyer, right? A real egalitarian society, okay, there's nothing egalitarian, but a real society where everyone is respected, uh, or they have equal standards of life, maybe, the Western world is kind of, comparable to that, is where it's the work that they do matters. It's not what work they are doing, right? For example, would you say the same for someone who drives an aeroplane? You probably wouldn't, because, they're getting paid a lot more. They probably, their job has much higher stakes than driving a car on the road. Or maybe you wouldn't even say the same to the person who drives the car of our prime minister or president, right? They're also driving at the end of the day. But why do you think you said that the Uber drivers could probably do better? I'm sure the person who's driving Mr. Modi's car is also equally educated, if not more. So it's that. I don't see it that way. I feel that all these things which are adding to our economy is boosting it. And eventually, I'm not saying it's going to happen in the next 5 years or 10 years. Eventually, it is pushing our country in a world where any kind of job can ensure that you have a good quality of life. I see it that way. So all the quick commerce or Uber, Ola and everything that you're talking about, they're contributing to the economy in that way. And that makes me feel hopeful about it. Yeah. But what happens in the future, of course, only God can say.
Yeah, I got your point, but I just wanted to give another perspective to the same thing. What you're saying is 100% correct, because this kind of model bring economical values, and it definitely add more values to our society because we are making money from it, and it's economically more viable, more fast, more convenient. All those things are is there. But I'm talking from without giving any tag of driver. Let's say a person, right? Because that person may have a bigger capabilities, but they get something very early, they don't try to do something better. So there are two kind of people. They have a higher capability, and some people does not have the capability, they get this job is perfect because they don't have any other option. But other people who has higher capability, just because of this, they are actually staying in the same level. They're still staying in the bottom level. Why not? Yeah, why not? It's impacting, because whenever I order something, I normally see young people are delivering, and young people are the future of our country. Most of the population are young, and if they become like that, what is the future of those people? I'm not saying India is like large country, there are a lot of things happening, but from that perspective, what is my way of
I think now I get your point. So yeah, see, being comfortable about your own self, your own body, is great. But yeah, being comfortable with something that you do simply because you're lazy is probably something that we should break down, right? So yeah, I personally feel that you should be a student for life. No matter where you are. Now today, maybe you and I are at a certain stage and we are saying that for some other kind of people. I'm sure there might be people way above us who might be speaking about us. No, these people have so much potential. What the hell are they doing in this company or this studio? They could probably rule the world or change the world or something, right? So it is all comparative, I feel. But we all need to try from our side so that, we are never, I don't want to use the word never satisfied, but we always have the thirst for doing something more.
Okay.
Yeah. While of course preserving our peace of mind. After a while, it's okay. If you're happy with yourself, driving an Uber or delivering on Swiggy,
That's fine.
it's okay.
Yeah.
If it's taking care of your life, you're happy, you need everything that you want, it's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not everyone needs
Happy
to.
that it's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But if you're not happy and you're also not working towards breaking out of that zone, then it's not fine.
True. Yeah. Okay. So do you think designer can solve such kind of problem?
Designers can
Contribute.
they can contribute to some part of it, because designers can change behavior of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, not every profession can change behavior of a large amount of population, right? So that designers can do. And using that skill or using that capability, if they can shape the way certain people think or assume or get inspired, yes, I think designers can do.
That's nice. So how anyone can be a part of this journey? Because a lot of people now talk about becoming more generalist than becoming more specific to any subject. Becoming a journalist is always good because you have knowledge of a lot of other domains. You have knowledge of a lot of different type of designs and things like that. But what do you suggest, how they can become a better designer? Like what path they need to take, or what kind of mindset, like you said, the mindset matters. So what kind of mindset they need to carry or they have to develop?
I have a follow-up question. How do you define a generalist? Who's
The
a
people,
generalist?
the people who knows multiple things at the same time. They know, for example, I know how to record a video, for example. I know how to play with the sounds. I know how to play music, or still I know how to do development. I know how to do design. So if you do multiple things and with a good uh, degree, I'm not saying that but you have a capability to do it also, and you're doing it also. So I call such kind of people as a journalist.
And how would you call a specialist?
Specialist, I can say, who is deep in one subject. Like I'm PhD in one specific topic. I know that topic very well. I have written so many books on those topics if I want to, but still that knowledge is more important, not about like what you do in that real life. That knowledge I have, I call those kind of people as a specialist. So they are so deep in one subject. If you ask anything on those subjects, they are like great. Such kind of people.
What would you call a person who is a PhD in multiple topics? Generalist or specialist?
I say specialist and journalist both we have for definitely. Then that person is
Special journalist.
special journalist. With synonyms and journals. Yeah.
So you see, the way I look at it is, it's all levels, right? For the sake of simplicity, if I say that in a scale of 10, maybe a 10 on 10 or a 9 on 10 is that PhD level that you're talking about, right? So, a person might be a 4 out of 10 in 6 things, right? Sure, you would call that person a generalist, right? Then there may be another person who's a 7 out of 10 on 6 things. You probably will call this person also as a generalist. But there's a lot of difference between these two generalists, right? We use the one common term.
So level is high.
Yes, level is much higher. And then you might also have people who are, say, a 7 out of 10 in all the 6 things, but then maybe 2 of them, they're 9.5 out of 10, right? Who is this person? Is it a specialist or a generalist? No, lines keep getting blurred. Then there might be also some extraordinary people who are a 9 out of 10 on all the 6 things. Are they generalists or are they specialists? It's tough to call things out that way. But if you ask my personal belief, I believe that there is no path to being a specialist without being a generalist first, at least in your topics, whatever you work, right? I'm not saying that, hey, I can design. I can also sing and play the cricket, right? That's not really the generalist I'm talking about. So if we are in industry,
Building the industry, yeah.
tech, design product or whatever, right? Then we know what skill sets we are talking about. I feel that it is important that we know a bit of everything. Because if you are put out in a place where you will have to do something end to end, will you be able to do? Or will you be handicapped because of a certain skill you don't know good enough to build something out in production quality? If that's the case, I would say, we still need to work. right? And that's also an advice I give to a lot of people, because a lot of youngsters try to be specialists, quote unquote specialists, too early in life.
Yeah.
Whereas they might be, say 3 out of 10 in 6 things, and maybe 5 out of 10 in 2 things, and they feel that the 5 out of 10 is good enough, which qualifies them as specialists. No, they're not. And just because they want to be called a specialist, they keep working on this 5 out of 10, and maybe they push the limits and make it a 6.5 or 7 out of 10, whereas the other things are still 2.
Yeah.
So, I don't really call them, because then you have a very narrow area of expertise, which can, an icicle can break anytime. So you should try and build a pyramid where your foundation is very strong, which naturally makes you a generalist. And then you naturally become specialized or known for something because you've done something for a prolonged period of time.
Correct. So it's your hard work which actually takes you to the direction.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Ken, it is very easy to project yourself like you know a lot.
Correct.
Even as social media, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, especially Twitter, and it's true for every other platform. I've seen a lot of people who I thought are like some of the greatest designers out there. But when I looked into their work, I was like surprised. Really? This person's work is this? That's a kind of, feeling that I had. So it's not that they were trying hard to fake. It's just that they're so good with the way they put themselves out there, that entire world thinks they are some of the greatest people on earth. They aren't. They don't know basic things. Many of them. Of course, there are exceptions. There are people who talk. There are people who know as well. But I'm saying it is possible to do it. That could be misleading.
That's right. Because sometimes when we, connect with the people for the first time, we get very impressed.
Right.
Then we spend some time with them, then we know the reality. Okay.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It is easy to fake in the internet. So
Yeah. Because you just see one small side of people.
So connecting back to the same perspective, we are talking about skills and different type of capability that people can develop. What do you think? Like, how you hire your team? Like, what do you see in them? Like, what happened? What's going on in your mind to the person when you hire for yourself?
Yeah. Is that a trick question? How to get into Swiggy? Yeah, of course. We are very particular about hiring the right people, because, you are a sum total of the people that you have. When I say you, of course, you as a company, right? If of course, I'm associated with Swiggy right now, so that's what I'm saying. Whatever Swiggy can do or have been doing, it's all about the people that they have. So as a company, it is their responsibility to hire the right people, put the right people at the right job, so that it continues to happen, right? So, yeah, and part of the responsibility is bestowed upon me as well, because I need to continue that tradition of the company, right? So these are some of the things that we do. Of course, hard skills, absolutely important, because if I'm hiring someone for the role of designer, they should be able to design. And when I say design, yes, I'm looking for the specialist and the generalist thing that I have looked at. I don't mind whether they're a specialist or generalist, but they definitely need to have that baseline which is wide. They cannot be like, I have absolutely no idea about these 2 topics, but I'm really good at that. Sure, okay, but no, I would rather prefer someone who knows a good deal of things about everything. And then, sure, couple of spikes in a few areas that way, that definitely helps, and they become the subject matter expertise of that. The base must be strong enough. Again, if I were to articulate with numbers, at least 5 out of 10 is what I expect. You don't need to be an expert in maybe, illustrations or animations or something. Some idea you should have. If our specialist is out of office for some reason, can you run the show in their absence? The answer should be a yes, right? So that's what. Some basic knowledge about everything, and then some spikes. These are common. I think it's true for many other companies as well, I would like to believe. In addition to that, a lot of softer aspects, a lot of soft skills is important. One of the important things is communication. Communication skills needs to be very good. And by communication skill, I don't mean spoken English or any other thing. How good are they at articulating their thoughts? If they have something in their head, how effectively can they pass on that idea to somebody else using words, using gestures, using drawings or whatever, right? That is communication skill. That's something that we look at. And some of these things become very evident, when they present their work or portfolios, giving their interviews. And then, of course, being an designer, you need to know about human beings, about human psychology. So, empathy as a word that we use. Can you empathize with other people who you are not? Can you understand what problem he's facing or she is facing? Because if I don't understand, I'll never be able to find a solution for them. So, empathy is a very important skill. And empathy can never be displayed by saying, hey, you know what, I'm empathetic because this, that. That's true. Sure, you can always blow your own trumpet that way. But some of these things come out when you observe people, the way they are reacting to certain situations which are happening beyond the interview. Like, when I interview someone on the spot, right? Not a remote one, but, in office, I look at how they are reacting to other people. I see how they treat people who mean nothing to them. Maybe someone who's serving them tea, someone who's serving them water, or the person who is just beside, or they just want to pass by. How are they treating them? That says a lot about their empathy than anything else, right? Eye for detail, right? The way they carry themselves, the way they dress, or the way they place their notebook, pen, or something says a lot about how detail oriented they are than speaking about it or writing a paragraph about it. So I pay close attention to some of these aspects as well. So yeah, we are very particular about it. And at the end, of course, we look at how good would this person be in our team? A fitment, essentially, right? Because we already have a team. We're not building something from the scratch. And the team likes to do a few things. The team talks in a certain way. The team has a certain nature. Will this person nicely fit into that? Because if this...
Your company culture.
General vibes, I would say. Company culture is too broader term, but general vibes. Like, would I be comfortable having a casual conversation with this person around the water cooler? Me or anyone else in the team? If the answer is a yes, then yes. And ethics are also extremely important. All of these are put under the vibes of it, right? So yeah, these are some of the things that we look at. Not very different from what other people do, but the way we evaluate some of these things could be different. Because I'm not sure if every company, goes into these details to understand. Yeah.
So how big is your team right now in Swiggy?
The Swiggy team is around 40 members strong as of today.
Alibaba Chalichu?
You got me.
So when we talk about career, so you have a subject which is called compound effect in design growth. So how you connect that with the career? What exactly this compound effect in design?
I think we all know what compounding means. It's like existing things over time leading to better outcomes. That's what compounding may be in terms of investments. But if you look at the other kind of compound, of course, very similar to what we just spoke in chemistry, when two elements combine together, it forms a compound which has characteristics which are way different from the individual elements and often better. Right? And that's a unique thing that happens only when you combine those two reactive elements that way. I believe the same thing is true for skills as well. This is where, we can connect it with the past discussion that we had around generalists and specialists.
Yeah.
So when the same person or the same brain has multiple skills at a certain level, the baseline, the wide baseline that I was talking about, there is a high probability that couple of those skills can combine or compound together to form something which is so unique that separate individuals with those skills won't be able to bring that collectively. That's what I feel. If I were to give you a more relatable example, say a singer can sing, and someone who plays the guitar can play the guitar. But imagine someone who can do both of them. They can actually perform while singing and at the same time play the guitar as well, which is like a very different and unique experience from only singing or only playing the guitar. So that's what I mean by compounding. They unlock newer possibilities, newer opportunities, and that's the same here as well. For example, if someone is a great problem solver and at the same time a great animator, they can solve some of the problems that they face, in work or whatever, with the help of animation, which is another core competency of them. Yeah. Which, say, someone who is solving the problem and then passing on to the animator, sharing the idea and then expecting their output to solve, sure as possible. But I think it's much more effective when the same brain conceptualizes and builds both of them. That's my personal belief. And I've seen evidences. Some of the best people that I have worked with, people who are in my team, are the people who have at least 2 to 3 skills or 2 to 3 areas they're extremely good at. right? There's one person in my team who is great at critical problem solving, ambiguous problems. कभी कभार होते हैं ना, just a one line problem, nobody really knows what we need to do, but then someone needs to think and get to the core of it and find. So this person is really good at that, ambiguity, and the person also can handle stress really well. Even under extreme pressure, the person can still think sanely and come up with output. So imagine these two skills is a great combination to have. So even in difficult situations, when problems are ambiguous and the time is short and everyone is under pressure, this person can still deliver. That's a wonderful thing to have. And if I have two individuals, one can handle pressure and the other can solve ambiguous, but not the others.
Not at the same time.
Yes, not at the same time. It's not going to help me. Two different individuals, even though I have, right? So likewise, I have another person who is great with ideas. And if I go to them with anything, hey, this festival is coming. We want to do something which is so unique that everyone will get wowed. I would immediately get 3 to 4 different ideas. Right? That's a capability not everyone has. Right? So they can come up with those ideas, and at the same time, they are great with people, which means they can build a great rapport with other people. So imagine selling some of those wacky ideas to other people, because this person can connect with those people, and convincing them that this is the right thing to do or this is a fun thing to do is a great combination of skills to have. This is what I mean by compounding.
Yeah, like you can say an example, like someone who is a good designer but also a good communicator or good storyteller.
Absolutely.
Can do a better job compared to just becoming a better designer.
Yep.
Right?
And you would see it in all walks of life. Some of the most successful leaders or famous people that you have worldwide, be it politicians or some big CEOs, Satya Nadella or Elon Musk, all of them, you will see all of them are extremely good at multiple things. And they are invariably, maybe they're not talking about it, their skills are getting compounded in their head, because of which they're way different from the rest of the people who are not as great as them or good as them.
Correct. That's perfect. But when we see from a design perspective, let's talk about designers. So there are a lot of new designers are coming up and they want to build their career in design space. But which I see that most of the people they study in college and what actually the industry is looking for, the companies are actually looking for, has a difference. Okay, and so I can say there is a disconnect between what industry is looking for and what we are producing as a individual, people. What do you think? What are the changes that we need to do in the education system in order to bring the right people in the industry directly?
Right. See, first of all, I don't fully agree that what the colleges teach and what the industries want are different. No, they're not different. Right. Colleges can teach you fundamentals. No, it is impossible to learn everything that you will do in a job. It's impossible to learn, because when you're working in a company, a corporate or a startup, the problems will be so unique that you cannot have a list of that many unique problems in any book that you can learn and educate yourself or be comfortable with in your college. So one of the best things that a college can do is to teach you the fundamentals, which prepares you to handle any of those techniques or any of those challenges that you might face later. This is where the disconnect happens, because people assume that everything will be given to them in a plate. Saja ke main de dunga, ye chamach, wo chamach, I'll teach you how to eat those 10 spoonful of food, and then one of these spoon is what you will expect in your job, and then I have done it in college, so I'll do it. It doesn't always work that way. So that's why colleges always take the approach of fundamentals.
Okay.
The fundamentals. What is the basic thing that you need to? Because if you know that, you'll be able to solve any of those problems in the later on. But if people assume it like what they're teaching me is one of the spoon thing and exactly what I will learn, that's a wrong expectation. For example, I've heard a lot of people saying that our education system is flawed. I'm still trying to understand where am I going to use those calculus. Why don't they teach us how to do your taxes back in college? This is what they complain, and those tweets and videos get a lot of views and likes. But the reality is, hey, they did teach you how to do taxes. It's nothing but simple interests and arithmetic they might have taught you in school. Now you fail to connect the dots and use that skill to use it for your tax calculation. That's not your college's problem. Just because it was not put out as an example doesn't mean that you don't know it. Maybe you failed to connect the dots. The same thing is with design as well. I've often seen that, it does take people a little bit of experience to understand that what they are doing in work is actually one of the concepts that they learn in college. They learn it later. It had happened to everyone. Of course, I've never been to a design school, but I've spoken to a lot of people, and what they say is in the initial days when they're just out of college and they come to job and they do something, they feel that, hey, this is completely different from what I studied, so I will use my own skills and figure out, and it feels like I'm doing something different which was not taught in college. But years later, they actually realize that, hey, the other day what I did, what I thought I had done differently was actually one of the laws I had learned in school. I just failed to connect the dots. That's a realization that happens much later when you're much more mature, much more experienced. So yes, people missing the dots is not necessarily a problem. Having said that, I'm no way saying that our curriculum is perfect. Our curriculum does need to have more interaction with industry, so that industry people can come and start seeding some of these industry specific problems with the students, so that they can start doing that thinking and dot connection while they're in college, and they don't have to wait while they're at job.
Correct. I think one thing you said is very correct, because in college we learn fundamentals and then we apply those fundamentals by way of working. But and specifically in design space, there are a lot of people are coming from a different background.
Right.
If you are studying in design colleges, you may get a chance to learn those fundamentals. But when someone is coming from engineering background, like you are also from engineering background, and now you are heading the whole design, right, altogether. So you may find your own way, and based on your experiences, like how people can learn fundamentals effectively, apart from the college.
Right. First of all, one small correction. I don't head the entire design team. I head the food, tied out, and a couple of other sections. So I report to the VP of Design, who's the actual proper head of design at Swiggy, right? But thanks for calling me that, thinking that I'm eligible for that. But anyways, jokes apart, what I feel is a design is a field which can be self-learned. And I'm saying this simply out of experience because I did it. I never went to a college to study design. Like, I'm an engineer. Neither did I ever take any course. I never bought any course. But again, I had the privilege of working in a company early on in life, which had some of the best designers, at least in India back then, housing.com, right? My first design job was at housing.com, and it was in 2015, 10 years from now, 10 years back. And back then, housing was at its full glory. Some of the best people of India was working at housing. So I had the opportunity to work with them. I had the opportunity to learn from them. I had the opportunity to look into their files, analyze why they might have done this and not that. And next morning go and discuss with them, hey, why did you do this and not that? So the kind of learning experience that I had gone through, just because I had access to those people, had shaped a lot into who I am today. I know that not everyone had that opportunity. And on top of that, of course, internet is always there. You can learn a lot of things from internet. You can watch videos, you can read about things, you can read case studies. How did designers in other parts of the world has tackled a particular problem? What challenges do they face? So all these things had led to my growth. And like I'd already mentioned, the first question that you asked, I'm a very curious person. And I would go and ask questions to my own self as to why is it like this? Right? I remember in one of the files that I was looking at housing, the person had used 54% as an opacity for some of the text. Right? Say we have black text, right? So for the header, he had chosen 100% opacity, some dark color, close to black in what he had chosen. For the subtext, he had chosen the same color, but with an opacity of 54%, not 50%. I was like, is this an error? Then I went through the file and I saw that there was a consistent 54% in many of them. Then I went and asked him, why is it 54%? Right? Because I was not there. It's not okay, 54, 50. No, I thought that why 54 exactly? What a weird number. Then I went to and spoke to him. Then he mentioned something around golden ratio or something. Apparently some rule that he had read. And later even I went and read that rule and all. But these are curious stuff. Not everyone would question. That's okay, 54, around half the opacity is what they would think. But this habit definitely helped me to question the right things. At times trivial, unwanted things as well. But when I cover all of them, that definitely includes some of the important things which are otherwise missed by people. So I think that curious nature of me also definitely helped. So again, coming back to the question that you asked, it is possible to learn design without spending any money, without going to college. But having said that, if you have the means and the time to go to a college, please go. Please go. Because that 3-4 years of college, life will teach you a lot of things, life skills, than design itself. I've gone to an IIT, one of the best colleges in India. I studied electrical engineering there. but I can proudly say that the second best thing that I learned in IIT is electrical engineering. The first best thing, the best thing I learned at IIT is the confidence that I can learn anything if I try hard enough. And that's a life skill which I have with me all my life.
True. That's true. So like you said, in the early stage you get an opportunity and then again you have an attitude along with the opportunity, so you scale. So let's say, there are a lot of people out there, they have that attitude already but they don't get the opportunity. And from this particular perspective, to fulfill that particular need, one of that need, we have initiated that community part, which is we have a community called Sandskriti, as you are also part of it.
Yep.
So how community can help in this kind of situation to provide opportunity to those people who are not getting the opportunity but they have that attitude? Like, what is your perspective? Maybe we can learn from you.
See, any kind of community helps access, right? Today in the world of internet, you can literally reach out to anyone. I can drop a message to Elon Musk if I want to. Of course, he may not reply. That's a different story. But I have the means to do that, right? Likewise, reaching out to someone is not difficult at all.
Yeah.
But in spite of that, people do hesitate because people are busy. Should I drop a message? Should I drop a mail? Maybe I shouldn't, right? And they miss out on that opportunity. So there's one wonderful thing that I once heard, that if you do not ask for it, the answer is always no. Right? If you ask for it, sure, the answer may be a no, maybe a yes, but if you don't ask, the answer is always a no, right? So people don't do that. They don't take the first step. Communities help in a way that communities foster some of these interactions by bringing in people within a small space so that, it is much more natural for people to go have a conversation. Like yesterday, what we did, you opened up an entire space along with people so that, we remove all barriers. There's no big or small. There's no stage or audience. You can go and chat with anyone that you want. Those are wonderful opportunities. Someone may not raise their hand and talk to someone in a stage, but in a scenario where everyone is having food and having fun, it is much more natural and easy to go have a conversation. So you're fostering, and that culture is good. So that definitely community brings in. But I've also realized there's a lot of people cannot utilize these opportunities. And I don't know if there's a lot that you can do about it. Right? I know your question was, what if someone has the drive, they do not have the opportunity? They will definitely thrive. But a lot of people don't even have that thrive. Yeah. But you will often see them complaining that, hey, I didn't get the opportunity. It's very easy to complain something that you cannot undo. I can go and say that, hey, you know what? If I was just 3 more inches taller, I could be a model today. Right? Because I cannot do anything about my height. But you know what? If I really want to be a model, I can go work out. I can take care of my health, my skin, my hair, everything. I can still be a model. But the fact that those are effort, I'm not ready to put. And I will keep complaining about the height or something that I don't have.
Right.
That's what most people do. They don't have the right attitude, but they keep complaining, hey, I didn't have access to housing.com or I didn't have access to Sandskriti community. That's what they'll keep complaining, something that they cannot control. Because that's the easiest thing to do.
So from the community perspective, community can contribute a lot to such designers. Like you said, some people have thrive, some people does not have thrive, but still they can take an advantage, कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है ना कि किसी को देख के हमारे अंदर वो दिख जाता है. So community give that access anyways, and we try to empower specifically the people who are trying to get into design because they don't have any clue, they don't know what to do. So if they get a guidance from the beginning, maybe they can scale faster. That's the approach we have. But the community is for every designers, every creative people. What do you think about how we can bring the community together? That's one of the challenges that we face while we are doing activities within the community or building that community itself. It's hard to keep people together. It's very hard job. It's not a job, but it's very hard responsibility. So, and that's the reason we came up with the idea of having the passport to give the sense of belongingness.
Yeah,
so
here I have mine.
So what do you think about it? What we can do in order to bring that up to keep people connected?
I think, see, as a community owner, of course, you know it better than me, but my 2 cents would be that you are an enabler. Communities are enablers. They enable. What happens after that is not really in your control. So as a community builder or a member of the community, what we all can try is to ensure that someone who has that drive do not miss out or do not utilize that drive even when they have the opportunity of access. Maybe some inhibition or something is still stopping them from interacting or getting that access to the people and the community and they're not able to utilize it, we should let go of that situation. We should let go of those cases as much as we can by enabling those people. Enabling could be like, someone has a drive, or you have strong signals that someone has a drive. You should make sure that those people are definitely interacting. Maybe you take the first step and introduce them to somebody. Say that, hey, you know what, this person is working on something similar and you are an expert in that. Why don't you people exchange some ideas or thoughts, right? There are people who are maybe naturally introverted. It always helps in involving them in a communication. Say in a group of 5 people, if they are chatting, the introverted will always get left out because they are not naturally inclined to speaking. It is a responsibility of the rest of the people to involve in the communication, them. And hey, what do you think about it? You haven't spoken. Or give them one niche topic so that they can share their thoughts. I think that's something that we can do as community members or enablers. Because yes, otherwise we may miss out on some wonderful individuals who could change the world, like you've said.
Yeah. That's true. And it's a continuous process, so we keep learning from it. Like every time when we do any activities or any events or any program that we execute within the community itself, we learn from it, like what mistake we have done, what are the good things happen. Also we learn from the few of the successes also. So because success bhi kisi reason se aata hai, so we also learn from it. Again, what do you think about the idea of the passport specifically? What is your take on that? So this is our baby, so I just wanted to ask you.
See, the passport is very well designed. By well designed, I mean it resembles a real passport. Not sure if you're able to see it in the camera. It feels like a real Indian passport, and also the material in which it is printed, it is close to that. I wouldn't say it's just like that, but it's 70-80% there, like a real passport. So it becomes a very nice thing for me to preserve. I may not attend a lot of Sandskriti, functions or gatherings, but it's still a nice thing for me to keep. Every other thing, the flowers and stuff which you had given me yesterday, I may not even carry them with me. I don't know. But this I definitely will, because it's such a nice and unique thing, right? And again, there are things which make people feel a part of a community, a cult. Okay, I don't want to use the word cult, but a community, yes. And this could be one of those things. This could be one of those things that connects everyone. It becomes that desired thing that everyone feels like, okay, people who belong to that, they get it. And because you have this in your hand, you feel a oneness, irrespective of everyone's background, language, culture, religion, or economic status. This is one unified thing that connects everyone. Right? You have this, you come and talk.
Yeah.
It's a safe space where no one's going to judge you. Right? So this could enable that, is what I feel.
This is the whole, the whole idea behind having the passport is to have the sense of belongingness.
Yeah.
So we can feel that, we are together, there is no barrier between the people. Yeah. I can talk to them, learn from them. We always try to, even we are not only giving this passport to the designers, we are also having, influencer like you are the part of the community. There are a lot of influencers are now getting onboarded in this Sandskriti community, and we want to make it bigger. And now we are also taking this community to an international level. When I say international level, it's not there, but we are working on that direction. So we have around 2,000 designers willing to join our community from Africa, and then we grow there. Then we are also planning to start this in Dubai and USA, which is already there in the pipeline. So that will be activate over a period of time. But the thing is that, what change you see when all, global designers come into one platform, what change you can see in design, like
mingling of ideas is definitely what I see happening, because every geography is different. The cultures are different. Yeah. People think differently. The same problem might need different solutions, like the Google Map example that we discussed a while back, right? So the more you interact with those people, the more you understand those challenges. Nothing can be taken for granted, because challenging the status quo. I can give you one example. I was in Surat, in Gujarat itself, of last year, right? There I was meeting a friend, and this was a friend's sister, okay, elder sister. She's older, much older than my friend, right? So I was asking her what are some of the must visit restaurants, right? So she started speaking. I'm a foodie, so I keep talking about food. She started speaking, and then she mentioned about one particular restaurant. Then she was absolutely raving about it, right? It's a great restaurant. मैं यहाँ से ये मंगाती हूँ, वो मंगाती हूँ and all, right? She also showed me her Swiggy order history. She had actually ordered from that restaurant quite often. But there was one thing that I was really surprised to see. She was given a rating of 1 star to all her orders. Although she was saying great things, she had consistently given 1 star rating to all her orders. So I was curious and I asked her, hey, you've given 1 star. What's the reason, right? Then she mentioned, she thought, what I discovered is, she thought 1 star is the best rating that she can give. Because in Hindi, Gujarati also perhaps, we say, right, ye kaisa hai? Ek number ka hai. Right? This is number 1 is what we say. She tried to translate that into the star rating. So she gave 1 star thinking that is the best. 1 is the best rating that she can give. Right? Now that led me into thinking, you and I, we use apps and internet a lot. We know what a 5-star rating system is. No one had to explain it to us, or maybe, we have seen it for so long that we are naturally tuned to understanding it.
Yeah.
But someone who has not been exposed all that much, it is very obvious for them to make mistake. Someone who had discovered or invented that pattern of 5-star, maybe in the US or someplace, they would have, of course, done their work and done. But it doesn't mean that it works absolutely for everyone.
Different location.
Right?
Yeah.
So even though something is already solved, there is a lot of improvement that you can make based on geography, background, culture,
Yeah. Anything like that.
Yeah.
People are different in different locations.
People are different, yes.
That's true. So, I don't want to conclude this podcast to be honest, the things are going so smooth.
Right. I've got a flight to catch.
So I'm just thinking like how to conclude that. But one question I have in my mind, I'm just asking myself, like, say we have talked a lot and we discuss about many things, not even in this podcast. Apart from this podcast, the time we spent together, we discussed about a lot of things. We played game together. It's a fun game, Mafia. How you see yourself in future, not in terms of job, but as a Sapta, like what is future Sapta looks like?
Future Sapta. I want to be an enabler, like I said, right? Now, enabler, how? That I don't know.
Okay.
I want to enable more people into building their future, enabling their dreams, right? And at the same time, I'm not saying that I'll just do out of charity. No, in the same way, I will enable my own self as well, my family as well, right? That's what I want to do. I definitely want to, continue creating content. I don't intend to stop it anytime soon. Maybe I will start exploring different avenues in which I can share knowledge and create content than the avenues which I use today. That's something that I would definitely want to do. From a work front, I feel I love doing what I do, be it at Swiggy or any other thing, right? I enjoy doing that. And I also feel that the more I work for any of these companies and actually expose myself to real world problems where I am solving them for a particular business, the more credible I become.
Yeah.
Because, the proof of work is important. If I'm going and preaching something to somebody, they should know and they should feel reliable that this guy is a reliable person. He's giving us reliable and safe and correct information. And all that I do is a testimony of that. Because if I have enabled or made some of these things work in a big company, then sure, I know a thing or two. Not claiming to know everything, I definitely know a thing or two. So that improves my credibility, I believe. So yeah, these are the things that I feel I see myself doing in the near future. Vague answer, because things are vague in my mind as well.
Cool. I think you'll get your way even more broader than what you have said.
I hope so.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining today, and we really loved you, and long-awaited time has now finished. I want to talk to you again very soon on different topics because I have a lot of things to ask you. Let's see.
Yes, absolutely. I think I had a great time discussing with you and of all of you in office. I know you've done very hard work into maybe doing some of this research about me. I'm really impressed. Maybe I will learn a thing or two from how to conduct a podcast. Maybe that's one of the things that I do in the future. You never know. But I thoroughly enjoyed. Yes, all the best to everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Would love to be back.
Thank you. So this is from Sandskriti community, and there's a token of appreciation from the community itself. Yeah.
Thank you. This is a real mic, I believe.
Yeah, it's a real one.
Okay. This is my Grammy. I think
Sandskriti Grammy.
Yes, it's a wonderful thing. It's such a symbolic and appropriate thing to give in a podcast.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.